The Last of Us Part 2, as you guys have seen from my previous entries of the last cast, you guys know that I was a huge fan of this title. There were certain things and elements of The Last of Us Part 2 I didn't like, but that's how it is with any game out there. I don't care whether you think it's a 10 out of 10 or you think it was a terrible game. I can look at any game, and I think all of us, if we're being honest about it, you can play any game, and you can find positives as well as negatives throughout the course of those games. The Last of Us Part 2 had way more positives, in my opinion, than negatives. But I think that there certainly, guys, were things that, you know, I, like many, didn't really like about the game. But at the end of the day, you know, for me, I thought it was an incredibly visceral experience and something that will be remembered for, I mean, for a long period of time, guys. It also gets me really excited about the future of the Last of Us franchise and what it could all mean. With that, guys, I want to talk about the ending here, though, of The Last of Us Part 2, because it left us on somewhat of a cliffhanger. Some people don't feel that it was much of a cliffhanger, but I feel that it was very much so an ending that is to set up the next game at some point or another here in the future. So let's talk about it. So obviously, guys, when we talk about, you know, The Last of Us Part 2, generally speaking, we're going to be talking about a lot of things with spoilers. This is the ending explained, so obviously, guys, there is going to be a lot of spoilers here. So if you haven't beaten the game, if you don't care what, you know, to hear spoilers and such, stick around. But if you definitely haven't beaten the game yet, I would highly recommend just beating the game first and then coming back to the video. With that, as far as the ending is concerned, Ellie coming back home, comes back to her home, Dean is gone with the baby, walks into that house, and let me tell you, what a surreal experience. Walking into the house, an empty house, and, you know, as she walks throughout, or you kind of, you know, control her and you kind of walk throughout the house. You go upstairs, of course, and then obviously she takes the guitar out of the case and starts playing the guitar. And then shortly afterwards, she has, you know, she's kind of, it's like almost her final and last memory of Joel. And so I think we got to preface this, guys, when we think of, you know, that last sequence with her and Joel, where it was essentially that, in a very Ellie type way, forgives Joel for what he did. That being, of course, taking her and not allowing them to basically carve her to pieces and take, you know, the antidote for the virus or the infection in the lab, because obviously for them to take that, to get the virus or the vaccine for the virus, they had to essentially kill Ellie. And so Joel did not allow that to happen. He actually killed the doctor, who we find out later, the doctor was, of course, Abby's father. And so then this revenge story and tale kind of comes to fruition. But with that, I feel that a lot led up to, of course, that ending sequence. Then, of course, like I said, this game was one of pain, it was one of revenge, and it was one of forgiveness. Throughout the course of the game, we see that. We see pain, we see that revenge story play out, we see the forgiveness, though, where Ellie forgives Joel. Then Ellie also forgives Abby for what she did. It was almost like Abby and, you know, Ellie really kind of, there was this feeling that we both have lost something, or we've lost many things throughout the course of the journey, and it's almost like it's time to forgive and, you know, almost let go. And so that was kind of an interesting thing, because it kind of furthermore went even farther when Ellie was playing the guitar. She puts the guitar down and she leaves the house, and we see her leave the house. The camera kind of get to an extreme close-up of the guitar, and we see out the window Ellie walking away. So what does it mean, guys? Well, this is, in my opinion, when we think of the totality of everything, we think of what the story was of The Last of Us Part 2 as a whole, I've got to say that Ellie leaving and keeping the guitar out, propped up by the windowsill, tells me that this story is not over yet. It's far from over, actually, in my opinion, but I feel that she could have easily just put the guitar back into the case, but she didn't. She left it out on the windowsill, which tells me that she's kind of leaving it open, like the story's still open, that she still has more to do, you know, throughout the course of the journey, whether that's to go find Dina and the baby, or it's to go get Abby, you know, and finish it once for all, which I don't think is what she's going to do. She kind of almost let Abby go, in my opinion. I think now she's going to most likely find Dina and the baby, but then, of course, try to figure out the origins of this infection, which is what one of the biggest things and biggest question marks I've had about this story from the very beginning, is what started all of it. I feel like that's where she's going. And the idea, though, is that she's not going to just put Joel away, kind of, you know, forget about him in a case. She's leaving it out, so when she comes back to the house, whenever that might be, she can play it, and that's the one thing that really connects her, you know, to Joel moving forward. So I look at this, guys, from a number of standpoints. This story is far from over, in my opinion. She didn't put the guitar back away in that guitar case. She left it out, propped up, stating that the story is still open. There's still more to happen. And when the time comes, I'll come back to the house, play the guitar one last time, and close that chapter. Close the story. Close it out. Whatever it is, guys. There's so many ways that Naughty Dog could take this story, in my personal opinion. You could create a number of more titles in this franchise, which I hope they do, by the way. I feel that we're probably at least going to get 3 titles, guys. We might get more than that, kind of like Uncharted. I would love to see more than that out of the Last of Us franchise. But I think the big thing to me is what started all of it. The origins of The Last of Us. The origins of this that we don't know. We don't really know what caused everything, right? And was it a corporation? Kind of like the Umbrella Corporation in Resident Evil? Or was it, you know, what is it that kind of unleashed this infection, this virus? Or was this something that was just created by Mother Earth herself? I mean, it's hard to say, but I think, to me, that is the next step here. Is Ellie is going out probably to find Dina and the baby, but it's also, you know, to figure out the origins of all of this. Or she's going to go and try to sacrifice herself, basically state, look, like, I am, you know, I have the cure within me, so I'm going to give it to somebody to kind of, you know, to create a vaccine or to create whatever is needed to stop this infection. There's that as well. There's a ton of different directions that Naughty Dog could go. But I believe, guys, that the ending, to me, is that the story's still open. That this chapter, the chapter might be done, but the book is far from over. It tells me that she has not let go of Joel yet. She hasn't put, you know, that guitar back, which was that last, you know, that last symbol of, that last connection to Joel that she had. She didn't do that. And so I believe that the story is essentially still open, and there's a lot yet to be done, a lot yet to be explored in this world. And so that's what I'm very excited about, because the future, guys, of The Last of Us, I believe, is very bright. Even though some people loved The Last of Us, others didn't like certain things about it, and I didn't like certain things about The Last of Us Part 2. But at the end of the day, I still thought that what they've achieved with this and the way that they've started to continue building the legacy and lore of The Last of Us, it's something pretty special. And so with that, guys, I would love to hear from all of you. What did you think about the ending, and how did you guys interpret it? Because this is one man's opinions. I'd love to hear yours in the comment section down below. Let me know, and let's have a real conversation about it.